Hi there, good morning. Welcome to Sunnyside Journals. I'm Catherine. Today is day 4 for my December dailies. As I explained yesterday, today is going to be more of a little visit and an explanation of what I did to do my daily. It's sort of going to be a follow up. And then hopefully tomorrow I'll have a full one. I just have to give myself more time. I'm spending more time recording and uploading and editing than I am actually creating. So I had to make that executive decision. So let's do this. So for my day 4 of December dailies, I always choose from my 2 lists. So from my Barbara's list, I chose, hold on. Oh, I haven't checked it off. Let's check it off. I chose add fabric. Oh, no, that's not the one then. It was sewing. It wasn't fabric, although that's how I ended up with sewing. Add real or faux stitching. There it is. And I did do it. So I chose add real or faux stitching. The reason I thought it was the fabric one is because I sewed fabric. And then for my list, I chose Aunt Shirley's shortbread. So there we go. And now I'll explain what I did and how I did it. Oh, let's go in and find it. So one of our favorite cookies to have at Christmas time for our family is my Aunt Shirley's shortbread. And Aunt Shirley is my mother's baby sister, her younger sister. But she was sort of a little afterthought in the family, a little surprise. So there's quite an age gap between her and the 4 older children. So first she was called Baby all the time, and then it got shortened to B. So my Aunt Shirley got called B all the time, which was short for baby. So when my mom talks about Aunt Shirley all the time, it's not just my sister, it's my baby sister, even as a grown woman. So this is quite simple for today's entry. So for my sewing, what I did was I sewed a ruffle on here with this cute fabric I have. Let's see if I still have it. No, I can't find. Of course I can't find it. Anyhow, it's a really cute, I cut up an old Christmas napkin, a cloth napkin. So it kind of looks like a little Christmas quilt. And I just used a zigzag stitch and made a frill and used pinking shears. I wanted it to sort of look like an apron because to me as a child, that was an important part of the day that Mom and I would make the cookies because she'd put one of her big aprons on me, and I loved that. Wearing an apron. It made me feel like I was a genuine sous chef. So what I used here was in the background, I used one of the pages from a Better Homes and Garden binder cookbook with all those beautiful looking vintage cookies in the background. And I liked that the rolling pin was there. And that's very much like I have my great-great-grandmother's rolling pin. And that looks very similar. It's the kind of rolling pin that's all one piece. It doesn't have the movable handles like modern rolling pins have. My great-great-grandmother's rolling pin is all one piece like this one. So I liked that too. And we would use it that day because Aunt Shirley's recipe is an unusual shortbread recipe. Let me lift it up here so that hopefully you can see it. It's an unusual shortbread recipe for the ones that we make over here in North America at least, because it calls for brown sugar, golden brown sugar, instead of white sugar. And it's a very dense shortbread. So it's very easy to make. There's 4 ingredients. There's butter, vanilla, brown sugar, and all-purpose flour, and that's it. So, but when my mother used to make it, and Aunt Shirley used to make it, that's why we needed the rolling pin. We would roll it out and use cookie cutters. Now, my children still love this shortbread as well, but I'm afraid I had I was raising 5 children. I was always working, and it was easier to make this Scottish shortbread the traditional way, and that's in a pie pan, a pie plate, and you pat it down with your knuckles, and then you use the prongs of a fork and you poke in a design into the shortbread, and then you bake the whole thing just in a pie pan, and when it comes out and it's cooled, you literally crack off and break off pieces of the shortbread, and it's so delicious with like a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and a big chunk of shortbread. It's still my oldest daughter. It's her all-time favorite, and she'll make this recipe year round. I haven't made it in a long time, mostly because it's just my husband and I for the most part, and I don't like to tempt him too much well, me either, but he has to be careful with his sweets intake. Anyhow, so I thought, oh, I'll include, now this doesn't count. One of Barbara's lists says use black and white photo. This doesn't count for the black and white photo. I'm not doing a twofer here because I still want to do another one that is my black and white photo, but I wanted to include this because in the center there, that's my mother, and she was the littlest one, and the middle child too. This is Aunt Shirley. So she's the one, I don't know whether she came up with this recipe or whether she found it and liked it. We'll never know. My mom's the only one left of all of her siblings, even though she was the middle child. The 2 oldest have since passed, and so have the 2 younger ones. So she's it now. Longevity is definitely, she got all the longevity in that family. Anyhow, so however Aunt Shirley came up with the recipe, we'll never know. And I'm going to tuck that in there so that someday, if they want to see what Aunt Shirley looked like and maybe see what the other aunts and uncles looked like, and they'll know that that's their Nana right there. And then I wrote out the story behind making Aunt Shirley's shortbread and the different ways how Aunt Shirley and my mother made it one way, and I opted to make it another way, and now my daughter also chooses to make it the way I make it. It's just so much easier. You just pat it right into the bottom, the way you would pat down a graham cracker crust. It just couldn't be easier. So now don't worry about this recipe. I'm going to put it down below, and if you want to give it a try, hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as our family enjoys it. We just love it. It's not too sweet because it's only 1 cup of sugar to 5 cups of flour. It's not very sweet, and the butter in it is just delicious because these flavors aren't fighting with each other. They just complement each other. So that is my sewing and my Aunt Shirley's shortbread entry for December dailies for day 4. And I added a little bow up at the top there because I keep thinking about that journal that I got of Lucy Maud Montgomery, and how she had all kinds of these little bows throughout her journals that she kept, her junk journals. They called them scrapbooks back then, and she loved putting these little bows in. So I thought, I'm going to do a Lucy Maud thing on this page and just put a little tiny bow up here. I've left the threads long as ever, just so it looks a little more homey. All right, well, that's the story of Aunt Shirley's shortbread. Where are you, Aunt Shirley? There we go. Thanks for visiting with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I may post again later this afternoon. I don't know yet. I'll have to see how my day goes. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, tomorrow there will be a full craft along with me where I do my December daily for day 5 completely on camera. All right. Take care. Have a great day. We'll talk soon. Stay safe.